In this tutorial, we'll walk through how to create and manage a custom entity in Magentrix. We'll use a real example building a co-sell opportunity tracker, a custom object used to track partner-assisted sales activity that happens before it enters your CRM. We're going to be using a Magentrix native environment, which means that this instance does not connect to any external CRMs like Salesforce, and it acts as a standalone CRM itself. In order to create your custom entity, first you need to log into your portal. Once you log into your portal, you click on your avatar and click on Setup. Click on Create, followed by Entities. There is a second way to get to this, which is a shortcut. From the homepage right here, when you're logged in as an administrator, you see this gear icon. All you need to do is click on the gear and select Entity, and it will take you to the exact same place. Now, in order to create our entity, we're going to click New here. I'm going to select Object for the entity type that I'm going to be creating. If I was creating a person type entity, anything that would hold information about a person, I would select this. By default, this will create certain fields that are not created in here, and vice versa. This object creates certain fields that are not created here. So I'm going to select Object, click Next. In here, I'm going to put my entity name, which is going to be called co-sell opportunity. I'm going to leave the API name the way it is. I'm going to select enable track activities and allow reports. The next part I'm going to fill in is the name field. This is where the name of the opportunity goes, which we're going to call co-sell opportunity name. For the name field, there are two options when you're creating it. There is a text, which is a 120 character limit text field, or an auto number. When you select auto number, you can define a format for your auto number as to how it's going to look like, a starting number, and what are the increments between records. We're going to leave it as text field because this is what we need for the co-sell opportunity. And then I'm going to click Save. Once the object is created, there are certain standard fields that get created out of the box. First, let's start with the audit fields. Fields like created by, created on, modified by, and modified on. These are your audit fields which capture who created the record, when was it created, who modified the record last, and when was it modified. The other field is the name field, which we named it co-sell opportunity name. And then we have an owner field, and this owner field is a lookup to user as to who owns the record. And then we have the ID, which is the unique identifier for a record when it's created. And there is a checkbox field called deleted. When you delete a record, by default, we do a soft delete, which the checkbox gets checked and the record gets to recycle bin. If you find that you've accidentally deleted the record, you can always go to Magentrix recycle bin and then undelete a record. Now that we have created our custom entity co-sell opportunity, it's time to create the fields that you want to track on this object. So to add fields, you scroll down and click on New. Here you select the field that you want to create. The first field you want to create is a lookup to account, which holds the partner account information. So I select lookup, click Next. I'm going to call it partner account. And this is going to be related to the account object. And the relationship is going to be co-sell opportunities. This field is always going to be required. Click Save. The next field is going to be a pick list. We're going to call this influence type. These are our pick list values. And again, we have a new this time. We're going to add another pick list. This is going to be the status field. And we're going to have open, under review, approved, and closed. Next field we're going to add is a date field. This is going to be called expected close date. And we're going to make this field required. The next field is going to be another pick list. We're going to call this field outcome. And the values it holds are converted to CRM, lost, not a fit, converted to deal reg. And save and new again. The last field we're going to add is the text area field. This is a long text. It's going to be called notes. We're going to give it a length of 2000 characters and 5 lines visible. I have an option to make this field a rich text field or just keep it as a plain text. If I make it a rich text, I can create hyperlinks, create bold words, italic words, and so forth. I'm going to make this a rich text field, and I'm going to save. These are all the fields that we need for this object. The next item we're going to do is we're going to create page layout. This is how the screen will look when you're trying to create a record, edit a record, and when you're actually looking at a specific record. I can have multiple page layouts. Each page layout could be assigned to a different role. If you bring in record type into play, then you will have a matrix of record types, roles, and then the page layout. But to make things simple, I'm just going to create one page layout, call it default page layout. Checking this means that if there are multiple layouts and there is no specific instruction for a specific role, this will be used as the default layout. And then I'm going to click save. You can see that I have a header section. In the header section, I have all the required fields. The required fields have to be on the page layout. You cannot have it any other way. I'm just going to rearrange this a little bit, have the expected date here, expected close date. I'm going to create another element section. I'm going to call it deal information. And then I'm going to put all the other fields that we've created here, the outcome, the status. Actually, I'm going to move status here. I'm going to make it required. Keep in mind that I made this field required on the layout and not on the entity itself. If I had made it required on the entity, which actually you cannot make a pick list required on an entity, but if I had a field that I had made it required on the entity, like the expected close date, it would always be part of the layout. I'm going to have influence type here. I'm going to add a third section. This will hold my notes. I'm going to call this deal notes, but I'm going to make the title invisible. I'm going to uncheck the display header on detail and edit page. This will remove the title from the layout. And I'm going to drag and drop the note field here. And I'm going to make this section actually single column. What happens is that when I go to the layout, instead of seeing deal notes, I'm just going to see notes here. And save and close. Now that we have created the page layout and the fields, I'm going to layout. The list layout will be shown when I see all the records. I can configure it to show me specific columns. So I'm going to click new here. I'm going to select home tab. The fields I want to see are opportunity name, of course, expected close date, and then influence type, account, partner account, and status. I'm going to move the expected close date all the way to the bottom, move status here, influence type partner account. The way we're going to sort this is based on expected close date in a descending fashion, and save. In an environment where you would have multiple lookup to an account, we would have to do additional configuration. Keep in mind that Magentrix performs the security check based on two fields, the account field and the contact field. Anything that has a lookup to account or contact, or an indirect lookup. And the way it works is that when a portal user logs in, that portal user belongs to a certain account and a certain contact record, and Magentrix can then perform a security based on that. If I have multiple lookups to contact and account, the system would not know how to perform the security, so I would have to have an additional configuration where I identify the portal owner field, which field is the portal owner field. In this scenario, I don't have any because I don't have any lookups to contact. But if I would have a lookup to contact, the field would appear here. Now, in this scenario, for preferred account security, I do have a single partner account. I don't really need to configure it if I have a single lookup to account, but if I have multiple lookups to account, I do have to configure this setting because otherwise the system would not know which path to use in order to perform the security check. So I'm going to populate this field here and save. I can control the permissions right from here. I have two different permission sets here. One is the permission which shows me which roles I can assign to. So for example, in this scenario for employee users. I want all records to be shown. I want them to have create permission, edit permission, and delete permission. For partner user, this is going to be controlled by account. So that means they can only see records that belong to their account. Obviously, they can create records, but we don't want to give them the edit or delete permission in this case. So we'll just leave it at that. The second level of permission is the field security. For field security, I can decide which fields they have read permission to and which field they have edit permission to. Any field that is required, they automatically have read and edit, and they cannot change that. We're going to keep this as is. Now that I have my object created and I have all my fields created as well as the page layout, the next item to make this show up on the portal is I need to create a tab. So I'm going to navigate to under create. I'm going to navigate to tabs. I'm going to click new. This is going to be an entity tab that I'm creating. I'm going to select my co-sell opportunity entity. I'm going to select image associated. Click next. This is going to be visible for the administrator as well as the partner user, this tab. And we want to create it in the admin portal and the partner portal app. And then click save. And that's it. Now I can navigate back to my homepage. I'm going to switch to partner portal. You can see that I have the profile opportunity tab here. If I click on it, it's obviously empty. I can now start creating my records. Test record, expected close date is end of October. It's open. The partner account is, let's say, test. Status is open. The outcome, we don't have any, and the influence type is a referral. You can see that I can type a note here in a rich text format. This is my rich text note. I can make certain things bold, certain things italic, and I can have links and images in this text. I'm going to click save. Notice that this is the layout that I designed in the layout designer. If I want to make changes, I have a quick edit layout here that I can click to, which takes me to the layout designer. Or if I want to make changes to the entity, I have view entity here, and I can make changes to the entity from here. There is a help on this page button. You can click on help on this page. Help text for your object that you created here. We can talk about this in another session. There is a way to disable this on the entity itself. You can go to the entity, click edit, and you can say disable inline help. And that link will not be shown. Also, if the permission for the online help is not configured on a role, the online help will obviously not be shown. All right, going back to the home screen, you can see that I have configured the layout to include the opportunity name, status, influence type, partner account, and expected close date. If I want to make changes to this layout, I have a shortcut here again. I can go back to view entity, go to list layout, and make changes to my home tab and remove or add more fields here. And anything I add or remove or change, it will be reflected on this page here. This concludes our tutorial for entity management. We'll be covering a lot more. There is a lot more to learn. There are creating buttons, validation rules, sharing filters, and record types, which we'll cover in future sessions.